Good morning, everybody. Let's see what we can get up to today. So, where did we get up to yesterday? I suppose is what we need to start with. So, we tested the workflow yesterday. This was the workflow, and we made a whole bunch of notes about things that need doing, which are here, right? And this morning I've done some of the more important ones of those things. So I've got some of these done over here. That was done. And then we're going to crack on with some of the other improvements. But I'll quickly go over the ones I've changed. So yesterday, let's bring up the console. Yesterday, when we were assigning... where was it? Assigning placements to the phase. It didn't update the placements parts process to use the same process that the phase is using, right? Now it does. And one of the other issues that we had is that we couldn't assign a feeder to more than one part in the loadout at the same time, which only makes sense when the phase is a manual phase. I'm trying to remember all this stuff, because when you pick and placing, you must have one feeder per part. But if you're manually placing, then the feeder is just like, it's you and your desk. Right, so you can have the same feeder assigned to multiple parts. So that now happens, and when we generate artifacts, we don't get any errors, we don't get any issues reported. Brilliant. So let's have a quick look at the project file that we're dealing with now, and the report for it after these changes have been made. So these are the files that we were using. So this is the file that we exported from the EDA tool. And just to refresh your memory on the EDA tool, we used diptrace to export some placements, right? And that generates a CSV file. The CSV file that it generated was this one. Thus, then we went through and created an assembly variant. And in order to create assembly variant, we needed to run a command to tell it exactly what to do. And in order to make that command work, we had to update and create some files. So we had to create substitutions. So in the EDA tool, so when you see this part, you replace it with this part. Then we created the part mapping, so when you see this part, use this manufacturer and part number. And then we created a list of parts, which is the manufacturer and part number. Happy days. So that's for those files. And then once we've got that, we've got an assembly variant. The assembly variant has a list of placements, and this is the list of placements, the normalized list of placements. So it has a reference designator, manufacturer, part number, whether or not to place it, the side of the PCB, X, Y, and rotation. Right. Then what we have to do is say, right, I want to build this, and I need some processes in order to do it. I need, in this particular case, 2 phases, one to place all the parts on the top, one to place all the parts on the bottom. And we need a list of parts that we need to find from the store of parts for each phase, and we need to know which feeder to put them in, the desk in this particular case, and if there's any issues. And then once we've settled that up, we can then start placing components, and then as we place components, we record the which components have been placed, which placements have been placed. And we also had another issue yesterday where the recording which placements have been placed was taking a reference designator instead of an object path. That has also now been fixed. So we've greatly improved the workflow process already before we even started today's stream. Fantastic. Right, so let's have a look at the project file. So the project file now should have, because I've run the commands, part states with applicable processes that are set to manual with them now. I'm a little bit weirded out by this right now because I'm seeing some parts in the list of parts which don't have a process set on them. Maybe I forgot to run it for the top or the bottom or something. Let's see if we can work out what's going on here. So we've got this hot tech thing and it's not got a process assigned to it. So it's supposed to be assigned to the bottom. Okay, let's see if we can work that out. Oh yeah, I think I only ran it for the bottom. Phase bottom. Yes, there we go. Okay, I didn't run it. Okay, we'll look at it again now. And we'll search for the same thing. There we go. Okay. So what we saw there was when I assigned all the placements that are applicable to the bottom side of the PCB to the phase for the bottom, and this is the list of parts, the placements for the bottom is determined because the PCB side is set in the phase, so it knows which ones to use, because we said in our phases we've got two phases. We've got a top and a bottom, and the top phase uses the top side of the PCB, so therefore it knows which placements from the list of placements that are applicable. So yeah, so that works. So that's all cool. So yeah, so now we've got applicable processes for each of the parts. Right, and there we go. And then we've got the phases, which we just looked at, and then we've got the placements for the phases, and we recorded a couple of them to say it's been placed. So let's pretend to place this one now as well, just to make sure that works. So we're going to say we want to place this object path. Now I think yesterday we ran a command, I'm just trying to look for it, record placement operation. Here we go. So this is a little bit different now. Ah. Okay, it's an empty list. Yeah, okay. Dash dash help. There we go. I guess, yeah, that's a little bit of an issue there, because the amount of object path patterns should be one or more, I think, right? Let's fix that. Yeah, we can have a look at that. That's fairly trivial to fix. One or more. Record placement operations. You need at least one. That will have broken the help, because now it's required, which is what we want to see. Right, so now it should have... Yeah. So previously it said it was optional, but now it is not optional. There we go, right. So let me try rerunning that command. I'm I'm still a little bit weirded out by that because it didn't tell me again. Ah. That's a bit weird, isn't it? Why? Okay. Like, because I'm kind of expecting to see the object path patterns on the list here, right? It's a little bit weird. We said we want one or more. Is it not? That's weird. Num args 1 dot dot. Okay, we'll try this. I think that's probably done it. There we go. That's a bit silly, isn't it? Why do you have to specify required when you specified like num arguments is 1 or more? I guess if you don't specify it, it's a vector. Yeah, okay, all right, we'll go with it. All right, so yeah, so we fix that. And now it says you've got to specify the things, which is what we want. And there are no options now. That's better. Cool. All right, cool. Let's do a commit. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, weird. Okay, so we're good. And to do that, we did this. Fine. Everything's good. Done, skidoo. Hot jiggly, that was quick. Right, let's go. So what we were trying to do was we're going to try to place, try to say that this one has been placed. Right. So we need to go object path patterns, and we say this. What have I done? Object. Oh. Typo. There we go. Setting placed flag. Ta-da! And if we run it again, it doesn't do anything because it's already been placed. Should it tell us anything? Like if it's already been placed? Maybe. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, because if you're manually placing things and you're running this command every time you place a component, and you run the wrong command accidentally, then you kind of want it to tell you, don't you? Okay, let's see if we can fix that. Yeah. Which one are we doing? We are recording placement operations. So if it's not been placed, then you set it to true. If it is placed, then I suppose you can go warning, placed flag already set. But it's worn, isn't it? We don't have a test for this. Let's remove this not operator and switch these round. Yeah. And then anyhow result. You see, there could be this situation where you don't need to save the project file. Because this is called by this, and it calls project save. It takes a mutable project, and we could say, instead of returning this, we can return a boolean, right? And we could say let modified equals false, and make this mutable, and then go modified here, right? And we'll just go modified equals true. We don't need to return anything there. We're iterating with, yeah. Okay, which means this is just a minor optimization. This is, but you know. You know, should work fine, right? Okay, so let's run our command again. So C1, place flag already set, and it won't have saved the project now, so it's better. Cool. We're going to add some unit tests for all these weird little edge cases. There's lots of like places where it can go wrong. At some point, what we're going to do is review the code coverage to find these little edge cases for which we need to write tests for. Yeah. Might be a bit hard to use the coverage tool. Having said that, just then, I can see it might be a little bit tricky to use the coverage tool to run the tests. Well, no, it should be okay, because there should be two branch coverage paths here, so the tests won't have tested the false path on this. So yeah, we should be able to find those. So that should be okay. Alright, fine. Yeah, okay, we're good. So we're going to come back and find these at some point. But I don't want to spend loads of time writing loads of unit tests while I'm sort of like in this process of getting the overall sort of workflow right. Yeah, it's tricky. This is like if you're working in a team of devs, you might take a slightly different approach to this, so that everyone always knows the current state of things all the time. But I'm going to use the coverage report to tell me the state of everything all the time at a later date. Alright, fine. Next. What's next? So yeah, so let's generate artifacts again. Yeah, we're all good. Loading loadout. This is interesting. Why did it load the loadout twice? Seems a bit expensive, no? Let's have a look. Yeah. Generate artifacts. Generate artifacts. So it goes project load and then it goes generate artifacts. In order to generate artifacts, it needs to generate the phase artifacts. And for the phase artifacts, you need the loadout items for each phase that you're processing. Right? Okay. And then it generates a report. And then it loads the loadout items again. Ah. So perhaps we can fix that. By just loading each of the loadouts once and then pass the loadout items to this generate report thing, or what, I don't know. Let's have a look. Generate phase artifacts. So if we pass the loadout items here instead, let's try that. Right, we haven't got any, I suppose, our test probably doesn't really care too much about the loadout items. Okay, let's have a look at the test. Yeah, we can probably add a test for this. Let's see if we can do it. So what we're going to do is, in the generate artifacts one, we're going to see if we can say yeah, we've got this trace content and we can look to see if the same message appears more than once. So yeah, let's see if we can do that. Yeah. Okay. So we've got our trace content. What do we want to do? We need to do it first before the ordered stuff. So I suppose we need to, let's try and write the assert first. Assert that I suppose we can say something like loadout. Well, the message yeah. See, writing tests to say that something didn't happen is a bit weird. So we're basically looking for this source thing just once, aren't we? Do we have the sources? Let's have a look. I think we do have the source. Right, so we've got this message like this. Context phase 1 loadout path. Yeah, okay, good. Which we can borrow. And the message is something like this. Message 1. Yeah, okay, yeah. I guess we can go trace content dot. We sort of want to go iterate over the lines. Oh, it's a bit of a faff, isn't it? I guess split it. Let's clone it and then split it over a /n, then iterate on it. Oops, no. And then do a fold and set an accumulator to 0, and then give it the accumulator, which is going to be the counter, and then the line, and then a function, and then we're going to assert the result of that is 1. I suppose like that, maybe. Something like that. And then we need to poke this fold method so that it does the search by going something like if line contains to load out message 1, count plus equals 1, something like this. Maybe something like that. I think I probably got a iter split. What does split give you? I think you have to collect. Yeah, you do. Can you just fold without getting an iterator first? Or do you need the iterator? Oh, trace content, yeah. Have I got my type wrong? We're splitting it. Have I got this right? it's a string reference. That's fine. So right, I think we still need the iter. Yeah, now it's got a string reference, so then we can go like that. And then, but we don't have a contains. Loadout message 1. So perhaps we need to do that. Yeah, there we go. Ta-da! Okay, so what happened? It appeared twice. Yeah, we wrote the test. That's good. So now we can poke the project and make this thing. So we need the loadout items here. So let's say loadout items, which is going to be a vector of loadout item. Now, you're not supposed to pass vectors across. What you're supposed to do is pass a slice. There we go. So we do that. Then we're going to take this bit of code and take it out of here. It's already a slice. Okay, so where we call, oh dear, I've done it again. Close annotation. So where we call that, we need to pass in some things. So let's create a phase loadout items map. Something like this, which is going to be, I suppose we can use the phase name as the yeah, I suppose we can create a B tree map of a phase reference to a vector of loadout items, right? Right. And where we've got the reference and the phase, we can slap this in here and then go phase loadout items map dot insert the reference and the loadout items. Something like that. We don't actually need to do it right there. If we did it here, it would be better. So this reference is used now. The reason it's going to be better, third argument, is because we want to pass a slice here, but if we added it to the maps to start with, we wouldn't be able to pass the slice in, to put the slice in, put the vector in the map. This needs to have an underscore in it. There we go. And it needs to be mutable. Insert. Now this reference is one of those, so this needs to be cloned. Sure, there we go. So I guess we can pass this map as is. Here, I suppose. We're passing the whole map to it. Not sure we want to pass the whole map to it or just pass a reference to it. It doesn't need to take ownership of it. So let's make it not need to take ownership of it, which is probably better. Okay, unless there's a really good reason to do it. Right, so now in here, where we're trying to load up the loadout items, we've got a phase specification. No, it creates a phase specification. We've got the phase values. Now, we need the reference here now. So we go phase.phases. We don't need to use values anymore. We go iter. But this is now a reference and a phase, right? So instead of getting the loadout items from the loadout itself, we're going to get it out of the map instead, right? Where's the code? Where's the code? Yeah, here. Dot get. And then reference, isn't it? We pass it the reference, like so. Is this already a... It is. It is already a reference. And then we're going to say unwrap on this. Because it must be in the wrap, and if it's not in the wrap, it's a developer error. So now we've got a reference to that. We can iterate over it, and let's see if it works. I think it might work. Hey, look at that. That's great. Love a bit of refactoring, innit? Yeah. Look at that. Wally says hi, everybody. Oh, I've got some beef choco. Homemade beef choco. I'm gonna have a little munch of this while I think about the next thing that needs doing. So we deleted unable to load items here on this report generation error. Now it might be that report generation error doesn't need this anymore. Yeah. Goodbye. Because it happens before the report is generated. Yeah. Artifact generation error, and so only the artifact generation error needs to have the unable to load reports. So that still makes sense. This is good. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Yeah. What kind of error is this? Loadout items. It gives you an error. Fine. So if there's any error, it does that. Fine. That looks pretty good. Time for a commit. What did we do? We asserted that the loadout is only loadout once. Yes. ensure loadout is only loaded once when generating artifacts. There we go. Map, beat tree set, deleting things. Yeah, we got to delete code, that's good. Look at this. Are there more deletions than additions? There might be. That's always nice. Not sure. Oh. Didn't we do a commit for this already? Nuts. Yeah, dear. Okay, so we want all of these. We don't want all of these. Hold on. We didn't do a commit for this other code. Oh dear. Okay, so I'm going to cut that and say only save the project if it was modified when. Didn't I have that? I thought I typed this in already. No. Maybe I didn't click the button when recording placements. I did type this because I remembered typing this operation. Because this is weird. Okay, so we're going to commit that. And then we're going to put the other message back in. Let me just quickly look at this planner. I just want to make sure there aren't any other changes in here. So the only changes that were committed were these ones. This is good. Okay, fine. Okay, so generate artifacts in the project. Generate report. We looked at that already. Okay, we're good. Right. Okay. No uncommitted changes before we start the next thing. Check. Let's run all the tests just to make sure everything's happy still. No. There's 2 warnings. So these should be in the commit we just did. And we're going to run it again. Okay, we're good. And we'll run all the tests with the default features to make sure they all still are happy. And one of these days I'm going to get around to fixing these. Should we fix this now so that we can just ignore these things and not have to keep opening them up? Let's do it. Now, what's going on here? Unused macro import. Right. So, what macros is it talking about? Who knows? Did we create some like we created some test macro stuff, didn't we? Which was this. So the tests use the in-ordered macros, right? All unused imports is on. Let's see what happens if you comment this out. Right, not a lot. This is what I was thinking. I feel this unused macro thing might be in the wrong place. Does it belong there? No. Unused macro used import. So that doesn't make any difference. What do we need to do here? Is this one of these CFG ATTR feature equals CLI things? Is it something like this? Who remembers? Oh, I've got the bracket in the wrong place. Well, I got rid of one of them. It's got unused imports. So we only do the macro use when we've got the CLI feature, but we're on default features and it still comes up. How's that possible? Right. What happens if we run cargo on the command line, right? And go --lib. No warnings. Is it... Oh, doc. Yeah, we're okay there, but... So it's cargo test. So when you test the library, it's okay. When you do the doc test, it's okay. But when you do cargo test, it's not okay. So what is it trying to compile? There's it's doing the bins. But that doesn't make any sense because we've got gating on this. Right? This is why I've been ignoring this problem, because I knew it's going to be a pain to try and work out what the problem is. So what is it compiling? What is it compiling when it spits out this? Finish test profile. Right? Is it compiling the tests? But hold on. Let's look in the cargo documentation, because that has got some stuff to do. Here, this thing, cargo test. There's like a list of things. Target selection here. This is what we're after. Lib, bin, bins, examples, test, tests. Is it cargo test dash tests? Yes. By the looks of it, that is true. Bins. What other things are examples? There aren't any examples. Right. There's no benches, so we haven't added any benches. We know that it's not the doc, so it must be when it's compiling the integration tests. Right. Right. But it's a little bit weird because these are unit tests. Let's look at the cargo documentation for integration tests, because this is weird. Tests all targets in test mode that have the test equals true. By default, this includes the library and binaries built as unit tests and integration tests. Right. Let's have a look at integration. Well, doesn't really say a lot. Yeah. What about? Testing guide. Test organization. Let's have a look. We'll have a quick look at this. It's kind of weird, this is. What do other people do? Oh, there's supposed to be a... okay, we learnt something there. That's interesting. Okay, we can probably fix that as well then. Is this supposed to be called common? Okay, we can come back and look at that. Unused macros import. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Yeah. We'll try that. We'll try what it said. Should it... Oh, there's an... Oh. Oh, there was another one. Let's try this. I thought it was referring to the same error message. This is variant builder RS. Variant builder. Which file? Was it this one? Tests, that's variant builder. But can we move this? How about let's try moving this into this mod. Ah, there we go. That worked. So we've got the variant builder, and then we've got the planner. Yeah, I think this is probably more right. Let's try that. Hey, there we go. Righto. So if we go cargo test now, what happens? Oh, I think we finally did it. Happy days. So default features, no warnings. CLI. No warnings. Yeah, we did it. Okay, cool. Right, this didn't make any difference, so we can commit that. Okay. So what is this? Only. Oh, I don't know. Integration test. Avoid warnings. Yeah. Fine. We're all good. Let's have a quick look at that other thing that I just discovered, which is supposed to be this common thing. Let's just see if this works. So we've got the test variant builder. And we've got this test planner. It'll work these out in a minute. Probably was a better way to do that, but never mind. And the idea then is to rename this to common. And then rename this to mod. Let's see what it does. Okay, because what we don't want is another integration test called common. We can test that by going dash dash test and then go variant builder, which should work, right? No, apparently not. How do you specify the name of the name of an integration test when running cargo? Is this bit right? Test name. Test the specified integration test. Is that not the name of it? Variant builder? Oh, it's because it doesn't have features equals CLI. Yeah, there we go. Okay, fine. So we can run that, and we should be able to run the planner. There we go. Great. But we shouldn't be able to run something called common. Good. Okay. So there's this sort of standard cargo naming convention, basically, for this stuff, which I wasn't aware of. So that's definitely better. This is good, because I didn't really like having to specify that path. That path thing. So, happy days. Let's do a commit. What do we do here? We use a common mod instead of what? Instead of, well, and then we'll put a reference in here to where we found it, which I think was somewhere in submodules and integration tests. Yeah, this. We'll make a link to that. Okay. So some stuff got moved, and we don't have to use this path thing anymore, which is good. Okay, happy days. Commit. Alright, let's make sure everything works. Should be good. And we're good. Okay, so we can push all these changes up. We've got loads of changes here. Fantastic. Making good progress today. Good progress. Time for a bit more Biff Choco. Shall we have a look at this one? Improve messaging when repeatedly adding the same unit assignment. Currently always says unit assignment added. Do we remember this from yesterday? Yeah, I think I fixed this already. I've done so much I can't even remember. Improve messaging when repeatedly adding the same unit assignment. Currently always says unit assignment added. Okay, well let's search for this. And then see if we can. Let me see when this comes up. Oh. Right. I think we did that already. Let's have a quick look. What's the date today? 15th? Well, it doesn't do what the message says to do. It says updating placement. But we have another to-do thing for that. Hold on. Yeah, we're using oh. Wait. Assign variancy at this one is what it's moaning about. What we're trying to fix. It says unit assignment updated. Unit assignment updated. We've already fixed this. We fixed it already. Well, I mean, sort of. Because they're the same. So it's not really updated. Okay, let's have a quick look. It shouldn't be trying to update the assignment if the new and the old one are not the same. So hold on a second. It's the old one. Okay. So I suppose yeah, should we check it first and then do it? I know we haven't got a test for this. Let's say if, well, we've got an entry, it's occupied. I suppose we could do this, right? Something like that. Oh, too many brackets. Right, and then it wouldn't do it. Let's run that again. So now it says nothing, which is good. Okay, fine. So it doesn't do it. Unit assignment update. It doesn't print this out anymore. Let's have a look. So what do we do? This is planner. Only report unit assignment updates if the value is different. Done. Okay. Right, let's deal with the next one that's very similar to that. Done. This one. So when we're running this command, it keeps spamming out the same stuff, and it doesn't need to do that. It should only do it the first time. So the placement hasn't been updated. There are no changes between this placement and this placement. So we need to fix that. Right. We've got a test to make sure this appears, but we don't have any tests to run the same command again and make sure the message doesn't appear. But we're going to find this out as sort of like you know, coverage reports, and then decide whether we want to correct tests at that point. Let's go and modify. If ps.placement, if it doesn't equal the placement, then update it. But this needs to have a reference. Is placement already a... It already is. Oh. Why can't we do EQ? Oh, we don't have partial EQ on the placement. That's weird. Oh yeah, look. Okay, fine. This is probably complaining because of PCB side. Oh no, it's not that. Why is it complaining? Oh, we've already got it here. So it needs it in production code now. There we go. Okay. So the test should all still pass because it should still print the message out when it is different. Yep. And this should now not print anything at all. Yeah, it's always kind of weird when you run a command and it doesn't print anything out at all because it leaves you uncertain as to what the hell has happened. Yeah, okay. So we're going to fix that in a moment as well. Right, what do we do here? We only report placement updates. If the values are different, because there's multiple ones. Okay, jobs are good then. Right, so we're going to go back to where we were a minute ago, which was this unit assignment updated. And then what we're going to do is a similar message to this, but not the same. So if it's the same as it, we're going to print something out. And if it's different, we're going to specify that. Unit assignment unchanged. And we only ever specify one of these things, so, and we know which one it is because it's on the command line already. So I don't think there's anything else to print out here other than that. Right? So now when we run this command, it's a bit more helpful. Happy days. These are all minor little improvements, these. I know. Ideally we want to get rid of this CLI thing anyway and have a nice GUI, but I don't know. Okay, so what do we do here? We report when unit assignment is unchanged, I suppose. Okay, fine. Okay, so that's done. Let's move these around a little bit. Just so that we can see the list. So, one of the things we were trying to do yesterday was deal with the regular expressions in the part mappings and so on, right? Those ones. I think we should do these. This has been on the list for a little while. And I think the tool is mature enough now that it's actually usable by people. But it needs a little bit of improvement here to make it a bit more friendly. Yeah, it's probably the most useful thing to do. It's not really an idea, these ones. This is This is definitely to do. It's been a to do for a while. We'll move those down here. There we go. So we've got our to-do list. Alright, so support regular expression in part mappings. Let's do that one first. Why not? Alright. Let's see if we can find where that is. Where that was. So what are we talking about here? Let's close all these files again. Close all tabs. Right. What regular expressions do we need? Why do we need them? Okay. So these are the files that we were dealing with when we were creating our assembly variant, right? And where we've got part mappings, we want to support regular expressions like this. Yeah, and also like this, for example. These are real-world examples. Currently, that doesn't work. What doesn't work? Let's try deleting the mappings that we know are used and force it to try and use the regular expression one that we want to use to see how it fails. Let's just put underscores around this to disable it for now, right? So it won't match. Yeah. Sure. The idea is that it's supposed to be using this one. So we've got a regular expression that says if it starts with SX1280 and if the value is anything at all, then use this part. That's what we want. So if we try recreating our assembly variant now, using the file, and we made a note of the command that we used to do it, which was this. So if we rerun this, right, this is the problem that we need to fix. It says no matching part. Oh. No, that's not the problem we need to fix. Okay, hold on. Okay, don't worry, everything's fine. We need to leave the part alone here, but just disable this temporarily. Okay, we'll do that. Right, there we go. So somewhere in here there should be an error for the SX1280. Yeah, here it is. That's the problem we need to fix. That's more like it. Okay. Now, I think we created a to-do item. Let's just expand all of these. Yeah, we got the substitution ones, yeah. Okay. So somewhere in here, there's some stuff to do with like matching things. No, this is the store. It's not in there. It's in here. Right. There we go. So this is what we've got to deal with. We've got this generic exact match criteria. Right? And it matches only if the fields are identical. So we need to replace this with something that supports regular expressions. Well, sort of. Okay, let's have a look at this for a moment. Yeah. How does this get used? How does it get used? Placement mapping criteria. So, if I remember rightly, for a given sort of part mapping, right? Let me find the part mapping. This is a part mapping. For a given part mapping, the criteria is created from these two fields, which are the name and the value field. Okay, so there is one field which has an exact match criteria. I never remember which one's which. It has one instance of a criteria, one of these things, which matches on the manufacturer, and then another one that that matches on the manufacturer part. One that matches on the name and one that matches on the value. Okay, right. In this case, we're going to want two different ones that match on regular expressions, but we need to know which one of these two to create. So if it's not a regular expression, for instance an empty string like this, then should it be added at all? Yes, because otherwise you can't specify that it should be empty unless you have a regular expression that says it should be empty, which would be annoying and weird and would just confuse all the peoples. And then if you see one of these, like this, as in it starts with and ends with a slash, then the stuff between it should be considered a regular expression pattern, and then you should have a different type of criteria which matches on a regular expression. So you should be able to have a combination of a name and a regular expression, an exact match and a regular expression, or two exact matches, or two regular expression matches. Did I say that already? Anyway, you need to be able to mix and match the different types of criteria for the criterion, or criteria. You need to match the different criterion for the different criteria. Which one's which? Right. Anyway, so that's what we've got to try and do. So where are these used? So we've got this generic criteria item, right? Let's see where it's used. Oh, it's used everywhere. Look at it. Look at it. But where is a new one created? Yeah. Here is where one is created. So let's look at that. What is this? Part mapping record. So it builds a part mapping record, and this is where it creates one. So what we need to do is somewhere around here is look at the value, and decide whether it is a regular expression. And if it's a regular expression, then don't create a generic criteria item. Create one of these exact match ones or something. But let's have a look. So I think this thing here might be misnamed. Let's have a quick look at it. Let's have a look at it. Okay, I think this should be named slightly differently. Let's check this. Generic is that match criteria. It's got criteria fields. I don't think this is correct. I think this one should be called exact match, and then this one should be called generic criteria because the matching happens in the criteria item, not inside this. I think. I might be wrong here. But okay, so yeah, so it's a little bit confuzzled. It should be asking the criterion whether it matches, but it doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we need to fix this up a little bit. Right, so the items are where the different types of matching should happen, and the criteria is generic. Okay. All right. Let's fix this. So this is just generic criteria. Ta-da! Done. Let's move this out of the way. All right, but we need to move this into this. It's going to give us a Boolean. And it's going to have a reference to self and then a name and a value. Right? And then we're going to take this block of code, stick it here, and we're going to go self.whatever, self.whatever, and then we're going to delete the field bit from here, and then we're going to say criterion matches and then I think we want field.name here and field.value. And what are these? Are these right? Right. And it should all work as it did before. Happy days. It all works as it did before, right? Right, but now this isn't generic anymore. And we're going to delete this. This to do. And this isn't generic. This is I don't know. Exact match criteria item. Right. Is this really generic anymore? I don't know. It's kind of generic, isn't it? Okay, let's do a commit at this point. What did we do? It was something to do with the variant builder refactor criterion, I think it is. Criterion refactor criteria. So the matching occurs in the criterion. Let's just verify the word criterion. Yeah. Criterion is singular. So if you've got a bunch of criterion, you get a criteria. Okay. So refactor the criteria so the matching occurs in the criterion. Right. Right. But we can do better. Okay, because we've got this generic criteria item, but really this is a criterion instead of item on the end of it, right? So we're going to say exact match criterion thus. Problem here we're going to have in a minute. We don't have this problem yet. We're going to need a trait. Yeah. Sure. Okay, fine. Okay. And probably... Now we've got this one's called criterion, that's correct. So now we've got criterion is exact match criterion, it's fine. Criterion... Yada yada yada, we don't really care how it works. Duplicate code, everything's fine. Where is this duplicate code bit? Oh, look. Yeah. Okay. So we've got something very similar going on here. Like, it feels like we should delete this. Let's do that as a separate commit. And let's say part mapping, because there's another type of thing which is very similar. Now we've got this substitution rule criteria item which is dealing with field names and patterns, right? But there is no difference here. So let's just delete this, right? Well, okay. I don't want to delete it first. What was the thing we just used? It was this. Where was it? What is this? Where does this live? EDA criteria. I mean, there is nothing sort of like super specific about this, so let's just do something really weird and horrible. Let's... Oh dear, wrong thing. Let's find this and replace every occurrence with this. Just do it. Right? And then delete this. Now that will have broken some things because it lives in a different module. But that should be able to be fixed with imports. And let's just run all the tests and then deal with the import statements. Well, that was fairly painless, wasn't it? Like that. Right. Yay, deleting code. So, what actually happened? So, I think we replaced... replaced blur with... and then whatever the hell it was. This. Right? But there's more to it than that. But we'll amend this commit. Right, so we found that duplicate code chunk, which was this, right? So this isn't what we're supposed to be doing. I mean, it'll work. But what we're supposed to be doing is criterion dot matches, because we made this method, and we're supposed to be passing in the field name and the field value, right? And it should all still work. And everything's fine. So we'll amend that commit. And we're good. Alright, sweet. Right, now what? Let's have a look. It's Bith chocolate time. Right. We've got this duplicate code fragment. At some point we'll look at that. Right. What can we do now? This is where we need our trait. So before we introduce the other type of thing that we want to do, let's introduce the trait. So we've got this criteria. Close everything else. I don't want to change any tests. I just want to use a trait for this. Yeah. So right. So where this is used, exact match criteria, right, is here. So let's say box done, and I guess really it's sort of like a field criterion. Something like that, maybe. And let's go trait, and we're going to add this signature to the trait. And all trait things are always public, so that's fine. So now we need to go impl field criterion for exact match criterion, right? And we don't need public because they're always public, right? Yeah. So probably, what do we do here? So we've got an exact match criterion, but I think we need to say clone debug EQ and partial EQ on here. Oh, I think it might be plus. Is it plus? Does it go like this? Who knows? Is this right? Am I doing it right? Probably not. I want to specify some trait bounds on this. So you need a field criterion that also implements clone, EQ, partial EQ, and debug, right? But I'm probably specifying this wrong. Like, do we need this? Let's have a look. Unresolved. Why does it need it? Oh. Let's see where we get with this. We've got to put everything in a box when we're using the trait, because it's dynamic. Now, I don't know why it's moaning about that, but we'll try and... Why does it need it? Why does it need it? Right. Oh, I see. So what we need to do is, where we've got our trait, do this. And then we've got the derives up here, so we're all good there still. Partial EQ, that's fine. I don't think we need this dynamic EQ thing. So that was a mistake. Let's just keep doing this. So we need that, and we need this. Right. Do we need partial EQ on this? Like, I'm not sure we do. You can't have it anyway. Generic criteria doesn't implement debug. But field criterion, it's got debug on it. Generic criteria cannot be formatted using this. Yeah, might need to go and poke our dynamic EQ thing around a little bit. Probably going to have to do that. Yeah, okay. As any plus dynamic EQ. Fine. And then placement mapping criteria is the trait. Right. And this is just sort of generic, which you can solve with a macro at some point. Now it doesn't implement debug still. Oh, hold on. Do we need clone? Let's deal with these trait bands first. Let's see if we don't need that. Okay. Okay. Oh. Why? Is this supposed to be a public trait? Yes. This is an interesting refactoring, isn't it, this one? Like this. Right, here we go. We're getting there. The mismatched types I'm not too fussed about because they're all the same. They're all this box new malarkey. Put everything in a box. Everything's fine. This one. Right. Right, because this probably needs to be a box new with a thing in it, right? Let's just see what happens now. Collect criteria fields. Wait a second. So this criteria needs to be a vector of box of din whatever. What do we need to do here? Yeah. Do we need to go? What do we do here? What do we need to do here? Not sure. We need to put a thing in a box, but it's not this type of thing. Right? I'm kind of curious to know what it actually tries to do there. Yeah. Can we go as done field criterion? And then why is it moan about this? Oh. This wants... What does it want? Field criterion. Yeah. Can we import this? Why is it moaning? Okay, because it's not in scope. Okay, so maybe we just needed to put it in scope to start with, and then it would have worked it out. Yes. No. What are we doing here? No, it still doesn't work. Cast it unsized type. Let's see what happens now the trait's in scope. Yeah. How do we coerce things into their traits? I don't remember. We don't do it anywhere else. Let's search for done anywhere. I don't remember. Let's see where this is used. And then this is a generic criteria. But this part mapping thing wants a vector of a box of whatever the thing is. So it goes a vector of a box and it puts the criteria in it, but the criteria is a generic criteria, right? but it says it wants a done placement criteria. But we don't have any special as whatever. Value of vector box din field criteria cannot be built from an iterator of a box exact match criterion. Yeah, but what is this? Does it just need? Does it just need to be turbo fished? It's got a lifetime specified here. Yeah, I know. It's exact match criterion. Let's say, let's just be specific here. Let's say box is a box of done field criterion. Okay. There we go. Look, that fixed it. Right. Right. That was interesting. Okay, so now we can fix all these by putting them in boxes. So I suppose everywhere we do this, of which there are going to be many, we go box, new, whatever. Let's see if I did that right. Oh, pretty close. Two more. Couple more. There we go. Oh, done it. We did it. We've got a trait. This is good. This is excellent. We've got a trait. So, let's review what the hell we did, because there was quite a lot going on there, wasn't there? Jeez. That's quite a good refactoring there, wasn't it? Like that. So, yeah. We've got all the things that we needed, and we say that it's got this. Now, I'm not entirely sure that we need these things. So let's just comment them out for a moment. Okay, let's just disable this, because we don't need it. I'm not sure if we need it. Right. but we can't do a partial EQ on this unless the other thing implements partial EQ, and it can't implement partial EQ unless it implements dynamic EQ. Yes. And you can't say that it requires partial EQ because partial EQ requires self. So we need to be magic about it. And it doesn't have the implementation, but now it does. And it uses the dynamic EQ to do it. Yeah. Alright, cool. So what do we do here? It's something like introduced a trait for field criterion. Why are we doing this again? Because we want to add the regular expression variant of the trait. Introduce a trait for field criterion. Great. And we can't do it non-dynamically. We have to use done traits because it all happens at runtime. Because when you're part of the why does it happen at runtime? Why is it not at compile time? The reason that you can't create the instance that you need, you can create it in the tests, but at runtime you can't do it because the criteria, when I find it for a moment, the criteria is only known when you read the part mappings file, and it's only when you get this string do you know whether you should instantiate object of type A or object of type B. That's why it needs to be dynamic, just in case people weren't clear. All right. So, we've got our field criterion. Amazing. Right. And our matching thing for the criteria uses the criterion, but it does it dynamically. Okay, we're all good. And just if you weren't sure about this, if you've got a vector and you're putting things in a vector is going to do an allocation when you add something to it anyway. So it's not like we need to do much more. Right, we've got an allocation of a box now. Fine. The only thing we've really changed is a bit more sort of dynamic dispatch, I think. I'm not sure if we've got the exact same amount of memory allocations going on, because the things inside the vector are done traits, right? Instead of instances of something. Right. And then this is where we just put everything in a box. That's all fine. Right, great. We didn't change any tests apart from putting things in boxes. We didn't change the logic of any tests. Introduce shape for field criterion. That's good. Right, done. So now, finally, we can implement new thing. Now, we've got some tests down here, right? And then we've got this bit of logic here. So let's just let's sort of refactor this a little bit. Let's go config test, right? And then what is this? This is going to be the exact match criterion tests. And the tests that we've got down here are matches, does not match, blah, blah, blah. But this is across multiple fields. which is similar to what we want. We still want this test, but not quite like this, because we don't need the things in boxes and all this stuff at the moment. So we're going to take the definition of one of these. Right. Let's create a test. Let's call it pub fun matches, I suppose. We actually know what we're going to do here. So when we use the criteria to do a test to match, yeah. Probably. Assert. We can go expect here. So now we need a criterion. Right? And we need to have the trait in scope. Here we are. There we go. So now we need field and value. So I suppose given and well, we can probably just put these in line, can't we? Maybe. That's what, you know, the field has got to be the same and the value's got to be the same, right? Probably works, right? Did it run matches? What is this in? Where are we? We're in EDA criteria. We need to rename this module. Matches. This one. Passed. Yay! Okay. Criteria test. Right. This isn't really exact matches now. I think we missed a rename here on the name of the module. Because this is using generic criteria. And it's got a typo in it. Okay, so we've got two commits to make. One is this, where we fixed test module name. What test module name? Fixed criteria. Okay. And then the other thing we did was add this test. Add test for a criteria. Well, I suppose it's an exact criterion. Add test for exact match criterion with a n. Okay, fine. So we know it works. This is good. Right, and this can then be our basis for like how we do a regular expression one, right? So let's see what we can do. It's basically going to be the same as all this, but not. The structure of it is all going to be the same as this. So we're going to schlep in a copy. Oh dear, hold on. No, that's for the dynamic one, yep. We're going to schlep in a copy down here. And, you know, we probably want a parameterized test to say that it doesn't match as well, right? Okay. So now instead of doing an exact match criterion, we're going to go a regular expression match criterion. So we're going to go regex match criteria, and this is going to be a regex. But I've typed it in wrong. And interestingly, it's only the field's pattern that is the regular expression. That one. EQ is not implemented for regex. Well, what do we do about that? I wasn't expecting that. Do we need EQ? Well, that's buggered, isn't it? What do we do? Do we just store a string there and just create the regular expression instance when we actually want to do a match so that we can make sure the patterns are identical? It's not ideal, but it'll do. Yeah. It looks the same as the other one. Fine. You know, I guess we could maybe something like assert that the pattern is actually a pattern. Let's write some stuff first. I suppose we can manually implement EQ, I suppose. I kind of don't like it. Let's try doing it manually, or shall we? Or shall we? No, let's. The reason I sort of want to do it earlier than later is so that you don't get to the point where you're trying to do a match until you find out the regular expression isn't a regular expression. I want this to be a regular expression here when you create a new one. So we're going to make it. We're going to try and do it. We're going to see what happens. Let's see what happens. So we can't implement we can't derive them. So we're going to have to go impl EQ for regex, whatever, right? And we're also going to have to go impl partial EQ for regex, whatever. Yeah, fine. Oh, that's interesting. That's weird. Okay. So how do you compare two regular x's? I suppose you could go self.fieldName is the same as the others field name, and self dot field pattern dot toString is the same as the others field pattern also converted to a string. Why not, you know? Yeah, okay, fine. And we need to poke these. This needs to be a regex. So how do you create a regex? Don't know. It's probably like a regex from, or new, look, we've got a string reference we can take. And technically that is a regular expression, right? But let's just say dot star. Whatever. Okay. What about now? So no, there's no EQ on here. We need to actually do the implementation. So I think you just go matches, is match, and then for the value is a string. So this is the pattern, and then this is the thing. Did it work? Did it work first time? I think it did. Okay, it worked. Let's see it fail. And see how it fails is important. EVA, criteria, blah 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 blah. Assertion failed. Doesn't match. Cool. This is great. Okay, so we've got another criterion. This is good. So now we can go back down to our tests down here. And we've got this matches thing, and this is using a generic criteria with two fields, and both fields must match. How about, I mean, there's a couple of ways to do this. Let's just change this. Let's have a regex criterion. Was it regex criterion like this? Yeah, maybe regex match criterion isn't great. And let's just go regex new with whatever in there, right? And then unwrap that. And that should still pass. Ta-da! So we know that we're using both of these different types of criteria for this now, which is great. Now let's look at the other test. Does not match due to name. This is fine. Let's keep the same pattern that we had before. It does not match due to name, right? The value is always going to match. Does not match due to value. So we'll make this a regular expression. because the brackets make it a regular expression. And everything still works. Ta-da! Cool. But nothing uses it. Nothing uses it yet. Right. Criteria. So we've got the groundwork has now been laid. Yeah. Okay. So add reg x match criterion. Okay, cool. Right. But when we're reading the part mappings, we always create the wrong kind of criteria at the moment. So we need to poke the loader for the part mappings, I think. This is where we create it, and we, oh dear, and we build a part mapping here. So we only ever create these ones, right? So what we need to do is look at this value and poke it around a bit. So yeah. So let's go. I don't know, what do we do here? Yeah, okay, fine. We need a test. Okay. Part mappings. Build part mapping is called by load part mappings. Load part mappings is called by this. Test. Here we go. Right. So we're gonna need another unit test here. This was a regression test here. Let's steal this. Slap another copy in. Right. Load exact match and reg x match, or rather use criterion. Okay. So we're going to need a part, and we're going to need two mappings, one of which creates the regex one, and one of which creates the exact match one. Right. That comments in error. Make sure to delete that. Right. So we've got a name and a value. Right, and the bit that we're interested in is this. Right. But this test isn't going to fail if we run this, so we need more assertions. So let's have a look. I don't know. Let's go assert that result dot I sort of want to compare it to another list of part mappings and then create them, right? I suppose we can do that. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. Right, so we want two part mappings, right? So we're going to have a part mapping. Right, and the part is going to be what do we use the part for? We use the parts here. So this is going to be part. What was this part mapping? Yeah. So this is going to be parts dot get at 0, I suppose. And then get returns an option, and we're just going to unwrap it because we know it's in the list. Fine. And then we're going to have some criteria, right? But we need two part mappings. They're both mapped to the same part though. Right? The criteria is where we're going to get funky. So this needs to be the first one is an exact match criterion. With a field name of name and a field pattern of this. Okay. Maybe something like that. And then it's going to have a field name of value. Name and value, right? And the value thing is going to be this. But these need to be in a box. Yeah. I'm not quite sure what we're going to need to do here. Oh, this is supposed to be a CertEQ. Okay, so required for the cast, the box one, because we need this dynamic thing again. This is a similar problem to what we had earlier. Can we say as box done Oh no, I've done the wrong thing. Hold on. There's another object. This is supposed to be a generic something or other, right? What's it called? Who remembers? You don't remember, do you? It's supposed to be a generic criteria. And these are supposed to be inside the generic criteria. There. Like that. Okay. And then the second one that we want is going to be a bit like the first one, but instead of it being an exact match criteria here, it's going to be a regx match criteria with a field pattern of dot star, but this needs to be created from a regx and then unwrapped, and we need to import it, and we're interested in the value field only. Right, so now we should have a failing test if it compiles. Yes, this is good. So what we got is going to be two exact match criterions. So this is where it's different, you see. So now we've got a reason to poke around the production code criteria. So the part mapping. So this is where not that. Where we go, load part mappings and build part mappings. This is where we need to get creative. So we're going to go, if the value starts with a quote and the value dot ends with a slash, not a quote, then do this. Otherwise, do the same thing. Right. Fine. But now we need to go and we're going to refactor these two chunks in a minute. So this now needs to be the regex match criterion, right? And we need to create a regex from string of the value. Oh, not new. Right, but this can fail. So let's just say regex here now. Can we put a question mark on there? Maybe. No. Because part mapping record error. So if building one of these fails, we have to go something like .map error. And then return a part mapping record error of some bad regex or invalid. And we're going to pass over the error. That seems fairly reasonable. Oh, paste. There we go. Bad regular or invalid. Invalid regular expression. Maybe something like this. Right, there. Something like that. And then this was used here. And then it's complaining because of something. Oh, I suppose it's a regex error, look. Okay, fine. Yeah. And then are we missing a bracket? What's the problem? From residual. But we're converting it to a part mapping record error, are we not? Oh, is this supposed to be a map error? Are you supposed to go error and then whatever? No, it returns the error. Let's just compile it and see what happens. Can only be used in the closure that does this. Oh, right, because we're in a filter. Right. Well, that's annoying, isn't it? Should this be a try? Is there a try map here? I don't know if try map exists. Is it a thing? It exists for other things, but not this. So this is going to be probably going to be a try fold thing, isn't it? Where we poke a list of stuff and add to it and fine. Okay, so instead of iterating, vec box done field criteria. First we're gonna filter, which is fine, and then we're gonna try fold. And then we're going to say question mark on the end here. And we're going to say this is of this type. And in order to try fold, you need to provide an empty vector to start with. And then you pass an accumulator and a thing. And then we're supposed to go sum boxed. So I suppose we go act.push boxed. And then return some ACT, something like this. It's supposed to be a comma there, right? Oh. Is it trifold? Are we supposed to do this with trifold? No. Oh dear. What's the problem? Can only be used on options. Um, okay. So if we say what do we do here? If we say this boxed thing here is a result of box done field criterion, or is it an option? Option. No. No. That was right to start with. And then the other thing in the result is going to be a part mapping record error. Right, and we say OK with a boxed thing. Right. So now we've got this boxed thing. We can do this here now, can we not? I don't know. Oh, yeah, I suppose. I suppose we can just delete this type. But it's still moaning. Okay, let's undo that. Take this off here. What does map error return? Map error returns a result of whatever, right? What the? Okay. Right. Let's do this manually because this is starting to be a bit confusing. Match boxed, and if it's okay, and then we'll refactor this once we get it working. Then you do this, and you return some ACC. Otherwise, what are you supposed to return here? None, maybe none. Are you supposed to just return the error? Oh, I'm trying to remember how you're supposed to use trifold. What are you supposed to return in these trifolds? Let's have a look at this one. Are you supposed to return an option or a thing? Oh, it's not helpful, is it? This it's not very helpful. If while let sum. And you get R, and R is a try. I don't know what a try is, which is why I'm struggling a little bit to read the method signature here. Let's say none, but what happens to the error? Where's the error go? I want the error. What are you supposed to do with this error? I've got an error here, which has gone in there. This is still complaining. Are we supposed to be returning a result here? I thought we were. This is the one we're failing with. We just return error, error. Or okay and then something. Okay, let's go back to this. Let's try compiling this. Okay, this is better. Okay, compiling. Okay, now, it doesn't work, but I'm not sure why it doesn't work yet. But we're going to find out. So okay, we'll clean this up. Don't worry, everything's fine. So I was kind of expecting some of this to actually work. Do we ever get here? We get there once. We get there twice. 3, 4 times. 5, 6. Oh, look, we get that one there. Okay. Okay. What happened? Is it just a typo or something? Right. We didn't trim off those things. Okay. It's working. It's working. Mostly. Okay. We're good. We're good. Where's the build thingy-jiggy? I've lost the code. This. Here. So if it starts with it and ends with it, what's the best way of doing this? Because I don't want to split it by it and then join it up. Okay, so fine. So we have to futz around with the value here. So let's say let value equals value 1 dot dot onwards. 1 dot dot minus 1. I don't know whether you can do this with Rust. Dot to string. Is value a string already? It's a string reference. Let's clone it. I guess it doesn't really make much difference. What are we doing here? Why can't I clone? Is it one of these silly ones like this where we dereference it and then clone the thing? No, I don't think so. Let's say foo is value dot clone and go from there. Why does it say cannot move like this? Why? A little bit confused. Nah, that's what I thought. I don't know how to. I don't know whether there's like an array syntax thing for like grabbing a chunk of a string. Let's just do this a different way. Foo dot sub. Well, I suppose we've got indexes of the first one and the last one. We don't really care about that. I want a chunk of it. What happens if we? I don't know. Split terminator. This looks interesting. I don't really want to do that. Food. I don't really want to split it like that. Trim it. I want to sort of just. Yeah, maybe it is split. I don't know. Does pop? What does pop do on a string? Removes the last character from a string buffer and returns it. It removes it from the string buffer. But okay. Is there like a cut or something? Pop. Don't really care. Something like this. Value foo. Who knows? I don't know the API for this. Why? I don't know. I keep saying cannot move. Oh yeah. Well. Oh, I don't really care about this value. Okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to go foo dot split at 1, and then get that one, because split at returns a tuple. First, second. Mut. Okay, let's call it prefix and remainder, and then pop the value off the remainder and then stick that in there, maybe. You can't pop something off a string reference. We have to go. Oh god. Result value. Okay, let value. I'm gonna reuse that. Is a remainder, not toString. And I'm gonna remove the last thing from it. Why can't we do this? Oh yeah, because it's not mutable. Aye. Maybe we don't need this one. Okay. That was quite a faff, wasn't it? Jeez. Okay. So this is supposed to be value here. Mismatched types. Okay. Right, it doesn't work. What's wrong now? We've got an exact match criterion and a regis. So we've got the order of these things is not quite what I was expecting. Let's run it again and see if it passes. Okay, so yeah, it does. So it works, but the list of stuff that we're adding to is not consistent. Okay. But why? Is it what we're storing them in, or what? Huh. That's interesting, isn't it? I wonder why it's doing it like that. That's a bit odd. Let's have a look at part mapping. So part mapping has got a vector of a box of these things. So why aren't the criteria things always in the same order? Like when we build the part mappings, I kind of want to know if the parts here are always in the same order. Is it a build? It's because we're using a hash map here. Right. Yeah. Okay. So, life is pain. So we could use an index map. I'm sure at some point we're going to need index maps, but I've been resisting using them and adding it as a dependency. The production code doesn't care. This is another thing that's concerning me. Well, it's not really concerning me. It's swaying my decision, I suppose. Because I don't want to change the production code for the sake of tests. Not really. So the test is what's failing randomly, not the production code. Because it doesn't really matter which way that you, which order you match the fields in on the criteria, as long as they either all match or all don't match. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So the only reason we're even using, well, I suppose there's two reasons. The only reason we're using an index map, a hash map, is because we don't know the names of the fields for this part mapping record, because it depends on the EDA tool that you're using. If you're using diptrace, then you have a name and a value field and a name and a value pattern, right? If you're using KiCad, you have different field names, for example. Index map. I think it might be index map time. Unless, and I don't really like this idea, unless we always did the processing of the items in the hash map in the same way by sorting them on the key. But that again would be changing the production code, because it's the extraction of the items from the hash map that is the problem. So we basically are iterating over the fields here, right? So if we filtered them, then sorted them, and then did the thing, that might work, and that might be slightly better than adding a dependency on index map. So let's just give that a whirl and we'll see what we get. And we're going to go what do we get here? We've got a filter. Yeah, it's a bit complicated, isn't it? Because here it's iterating over a bunch of things, which isn't really what we want. Let me just do a commit here. Work in progress, intermittently passes. We'll do that. So, if we did this bit, and then mapped it, I suppose, yeah, this would probably work. Filter map. If then I suppose we could go match true, and then we go key value. And we say some key value. Right? key value. Right, that then gives us the key values again. So I suppose we can put that back over here. And we've still got keys and values here. So that might still work as it is, right? But the ordering is still not fixed here. It should pass occasionally still. Yes, it does. Right. But now we've got a vector at this point, so we can sort it. Let's go sort. Let's collect it. And then can we do how do we do sort? Where's sort? I don't know. Let's take this. Right. So what is whatever? This is supposed to be a key and a value, a vector of a key and a value. No, a string and a string. Oh, a vector of a tuple. There we go. Right. Now we have to go. Oh, I see. Iter. Right. So we were just missing the iter on this bit. But we do this, and then I think we can go whatever dot sort. Here we go. And this works like on the collection in place. Matched fields. Let's say that. And I think you have to return equal on this, and this needs to be mutable at this point, right? So we can sort this thing. I think we can might just be able to just go sort by itself and it work. Matched fields dot sort, because there's nothing specific about this that needs our own implementation. Mismatched types. What have we got here? So we've got a string reference here. Right. So we can do that. No, I always get this wrong. One of these days I'm gonna get this right. There we go. Oh, yeah, so it passes. Does it pass again? Yes. Does it pass again? Yes. We fixed it. Okay, we don't need to do our own custom sorting thing. Fine. So we match the fields, then we fold them up because any one of them could fail, and then if it fails, then this box result is whatever. And we need to strip off the leading and trailing thing, and then we do this criterion, create a criterion, and then we stick it in a box, and away we go. Now, can we clean this up somewhat? So we've got a criterion, and we've got a criterion. Can we move this? Let's do a commit working. Okay. Oh, I amended it instead of adding it. Duh. Never mind. So let's go. I don't know what we can do here. Because this boxed thing here is a box of one of these things. Maybe instead of doing this, we can just go OK box new whatever, and then delete this a little bit. Does it help? Is it clearer? Oh, take the semicolon off. Okay, that compiles still. So we can, clean this up a little bit. We can go OK box new two of these and one of them. Get rid of that. Oh. Okay. Mismatch closing to limiting is fine. I was right. There were 4 there. It's quite a lot. Right. Now I want to sort this out because I don't like it. So here we've got a result. And I think you can go box dot something map error, or just, I don't know, what can we do? So if we go can we map? What's the best way of doing this? Because we need to do this. This is a result, and we need to return a result. Yeah. So we can go map, and we've got the thing. Criterion. And then we need this chunk of code. And we say OK criterion. But we only want to do this map if it's okay. What does this do now? No. What were we doing before? We were returning an error. A result of a result. Oh, we're just supposed to be returning that. Okay, fine. Now is this right? I don't know. No. No. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. Let me just... I don't know the API again here. Right. So that's what we had. That's where it works. Is there like a... what is this map? What's this map doing? What does it do? It says if it's okay, then you do the thing. Otherwise, you get the error. But I thought that's what I said I wanted. What's the difference? Are we not supposed to be returning? No. Leaves the error untouched. That's the bit that I'm interested in, leaving the error untouched, right? Here's the error, we don't want to touch it. Right, but if it's okay, then I want to run this bit of code. Oh, it's because I'm being stupid. I've returning the wrong thing. That's better. Okay, fine. We got there in the end. I had my things confused. Right. There we go. That's better. There we go. Right. Let's deal with these. Don't need error. Don't need ordering. Goodbye. This does not need to be mutable. What doesn't need to be mutable? Remainder. Yes. Yes, because we do that. Yes. Maybe like a regular expression match and then like take the bit in the middle would be better in this case. But then you've got to do regular expression parsing and all this kind of stuff. It might be more maintainable, but it certainly wouldn't be more efficient. Right. Okay. So it works. Right. Okay. So we're going to squash all those commits. Those two commits. Squash these. Then we're going to go to the command line and go git reset head, and then I've forgotten what this thing was that we looked up the other day. Right, and then we can review the changes properly. So what we said was, well, it's cleaned up some white space. We want to use the exact match and regex match criterions when we're creating part mappings. and we expect different criterion for the second one, right? Yep. And in order to do that, we had to sort the list of matched fields, then iterate over the matched fields, dumping out errors as we go, or bailing if there's an error parsing the regular expression, and building a list. Yeah. Okay. I mean, what we ended up with wasn't too bad. It was quite a lot more than work than I thought it was going to be, but there we are. So yeah. So what did we do? We added support. Added support for regular expression. Regular expressions in part mappings. Right. Let's run all the tests and then deal with the fallout if it doesn't work. No warnings, no errors. Good. Default features. No warnings, no errors, everything passes. So this is good. So now, when we run this again, it should work, right? Because before, what were we trying to do? We were trying to make this work because there is a mapping. Success. This is great. It works. So where do we get to? Do we have some part mappings open? Close all tabs. No, we don't want that. Let's bring up the part mappings. Okay, so we can delete this old one now. We can delete this because we know that this one will work. And we can put dot stars in these, but it needs to be more than dot star. Because we don't want these to be, we're not specifically looking for them to be empty, which is what an exact match would be. We want to say, we don't care what the value is here. Or any of these. We don't care. You know, because the value for this, for instance, could be Wi-Fi, or it could be ELRS, for instance, on this antenna. I'm going to just update this so that it's got quotes on it, because... Okay. So. Let's build a variant and check for errors now that we've updated all the part mappings. No errors, no errors. The only errors should be on those test points. No errors. I mean, there are part map failures, but it's only on these. We're good. So everything works as it did before, but now it's more flexible going forwards for the future. Yeah, okay, I think we're going to leave it there. I need a break. I've been going all morning since about 9 o'clock today. So yeah, no, since about 8 o'clock actually today. Got loads of stuff done. Loads of stuff. Yeah, some good refactorings there today. Alright, so let's push all the changes. Wow, that's a lot of changes, isn't it? There we go. Whee! Off you go, changes. Right, and then let's go back to our list and say done skidoo. Now, we've got this. Support regular expressions in substitutions. And we're basically going to have to poke that build substitution thing in a very similar way than we just did to the for the part mappings. But I'm not going to do that right now. But I might do it a bit later this afternoon and see how I get on there. Yeah, and then we'll tackle some of the other things, I suppose. But yeah, no, we're all good. We're all good. Got loads of stuff done. All right. Yeah, cool. I'm just gonna. It should be fine anyway. Cargo. Yeah, I just want to double eyeball this myself. I know I did it in the ID a minute ago, but yeah. Right, fine. Occasionally you get weird differences between running the IDE and the command line. Okay, so that's it for today then, folks. If you've been enjoying this, then don't forget to press the little thumbs up button on the bottom. Helps out. Thank you very much. And if you want to be informed of the next stream, then don't forget to click the subscribe button. And there's also the Discord server. You can go on there. There's also the Twitter account as well. I think the links should be in the video description for all this stuff. Alright, so just remember, folks, it's only software. How hard can it be? We'll find out on the next one.